This meeting is being recorded.
All right, we're back for part two to finish up our discussion with Moira. So we were just in the middle of talking about college athletics. Moira was sharing kind of her general experience. She was telling us about how she's dealt with the ups and downs, what she's felt to be the best for working through any negative feelings, any imposter syndrome. Um, Chris, you got anywhere you want to take the discussion? I got like one big area I kind of want to go to, but love to hear if you got anything first.
Um, Not to like change up the subject, but like I think one of the interesting things about Mora is that like she's involved with like a lot of things, I feel like, and it's also interesting that she has friends from like all different circles. Like I know a lot of people, at least at Richmond, like if they're an athlete, they're just friends with athletes. If you're in a frat, you're just friends with frat guys. Um, and I think it's kind of unique that Mora is like an athlete, but also she's really involved in student government. Now, how has it been like forming these new like friendships with like all these types of different people, and how has it like, I don't know, maybe change your perspective on like how you go about things in any regard?
Yeah, no, I think when I joined student government, that's like my best example. When I joined student government my freshman year, I joined it because like field hockey was like getting tough for me. I was like, I need to do something like outside of just going to class and like going to sports. And so I joined student government, and from there, I met like a lot of my friends who are in Greek life and just like, people in general who are involved in student government. And that's been nice because it also just kind of helps put in perspective, like, you know, be like the athlete part is not a it's not a full-time job. Like, you know, like putting on the one hat, taking the one off. Like, it's the same deal. Like, going out and meeting all these people is important because like you want to broaden your circle. It's nice to have people like in every aspect. Like you never want to limit yourself to just one group, just one PCU. Like I'm not just a student athlete. Like, I have all these other things going for me. I think that's been like one of the best parts of my experience. Like is some of the opportunities like that I've gotten through the other things I've joined outside of sports, and just all the people I've met have been just absolutely great. So I think it's like important too because also like you have to remember the world doesn't revolve around you and your college athletics, even though sometimes it does feel like it because of like how much money they put into college athletics, like all like the perks or bonuses and stuff. Like, you feel important, and it's not to say that your job isn't important, but there's so much other things at your university besides your athletics. And I think you wouldn't be doing your due diligence if you just kind of stuck in that athletic world and you didn't try to branch out.
Very well said. Very well said. Chris, you got anything more there?
No, I think that's a great answer. I think like Mora is a great example of like, being able to diversify your friendships. Yeah, I think it goes to highlight like no one should ever be above or below you. I feel like there's meaningful connections to be made with anyone and everyone. Like
Mhm.
whatever. There's meaningful connections to be made with everyone. And I think, yeah, I think Moore is a great example of that and taking that to heart. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I think one organization you might be a part of is the FCA, correct? The Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Mhm.
So I was wondering, I know that you're very kind of deep into your faith and your religion. I was wondering if you're comfortable, if you would be willing to share about some of that, the role that's played in your life, maybe your college experience, forming your values, beliefs, and maybe even connecting it back to athletics. I know that there are a lot of people. I think you've told me before. You see a very clear connection between performing at a high level athletically and being very in touch with yourself spiritually. So whatever you want to share there, whatever you're comfortable sharing, I think our viewers would love to hear.
Yeah, no, 100%. I joined FCA this year, but I grew up like I always grew up Catholic, like grew up in a religious family, grew up in a large religious family, but like in our friend group there is, or at least like the friends like I had growing up, not like I didn't have anyone that like I really like talked with religion a lot about. So I guess it was something I always kind of like kept to myself, but on like my team specifically, some of my good friends are also like very in touch with their religion, and specifically like we're all Christian, like we're in the FCA. And so it's been really nice kind of like having those people to kind of share the experience with, like FCA specifically, like having people who have the same like kind of like work ethic that like you're all busy athletes and everything, but you're still like making this time and like putting aside like your effort to like create that kind of relationship with God and create that relationship with kind of learning more about yourself. And I think that has been probably the most important part of like my mindset growth. I know I talked earlier about how big college athletics have been, but my religion has always been a very important part of me, an important part of like how I view things or how I treat like the relationships in my life. And I think when you're in touch, not just on a religious aspect, but when you're in touch with your emotions, like, and your morals and just kind of like what you want in life and what's the point of all of it, I think you live a lot happier life because it's so easy to kind of like focus on the negatives or get distracted by other things. But when you have kind of like this clear guide in your life, it just makes everything kind of fall into place. And something that like some of my good friends we've talked about kind of at our FCA meetings, but just like in our own conversations, like is that we've learned kind of through our Bible study is that there's just so many things that like you can stress about and worry about. You just gotta let it go. You just gotta let it go and know that in our case, like it's God's plan, and whatever someone else may believe, like that it's a higher being, like in a higher plan. But just kind of like the idea that everything will fall into place as it's supposed to, and I don't have to worry about it. It's been such a refreshing mindset. And when I was saying earlier, like, ball don't lie, field hockey, when I was talking field hockey, like, you focus on yourself, you focus on, like, your skill set and your effort, and things will play out how they're supposed to. And I think that's how I've always, like, viewed religion.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Chris, is there anything else you wanted to touch on? Anything else you were curious about before we kind of wind things down, wrap things up?
Um, I don't think so. I mean, I think with what you just said more, I agree with a lot. I don't think you have to be, you don't necessarily have to be religious to take a lot of things of those things to heart. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, especially today, a lot of people focus on one bad thing, and let it like take over them. But like for the most part, at least for us three, not everyone, but at least for us three, I could definitely say that we're very blessed for where we are, very lucky individuals, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and a small problem for you or a big problem for you is this would be a drop in someone else's bucket. So I think it's just important to appreciate where you are. I think also one of the things people take for granted is like your health and your well-being, and we're all young and healthy. So it's, just enjoy what you have right now because you never know. I think that's a good thing to take to heart.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so Maura, to wrap this up, I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit. I hope you don't mind. I'm gonna ask for two things. Um, One, if you have a favorite Bible verse. I don't know. I'm sure some of the viewers would love to hear that. And then two, would just love, like, you've shared a lot of great wisdom and advice. I'd love you to try to distill like everything you know to like one piece of advice that you would give to like any high school senior, just in general, about life, like with the experience that you've gained. So Bible verse and then just one piece of advice. I know I'm putting you on the spot. Just do your best.
All right, the Bible verse, that's an easy one. Let me clear the things off my phone. But it's not gonna load. Oh, damn. You're not gonna be able to see. But it's 1 Corinthians 16:14, and it's let everything that you do be done in love. And I think that's always just been important to me. Like, there's no reason to like be mean or like be doing, like obviously no one's perfect, but your general life and the general way you view people and things in your life should be positive. And so I
Hmm.
think that's just like a nice, just overarching kind of life bit. And then my one piece of advice is I always think of the song by the New Radicals, "You Get What You Give," and I fully believe that. Like you can't be complaining about how things are if you're not doing anything to change them.
Yeah. If nothing changes,
Completely
nothing
agree.
changes.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Chris, you got anything else before we wrap it up for sure?
Yeah, choose to be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Maura, thank you so much. It's an awesome discussion. Thank you for being so open, so willing to share.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was great. I'm sure we'll have you back at some point in some capacity to distill some more wisdom, share some more experience. I know there's a lot of stories that you probably could have shared that might
yeah.
not be appropriate for the podcast, but might be funny.
Yeah, thank you, Maura. I think this is probably one of the most like, at least advice, well, like a lot of advice in this episode. So it was good in that regard. I'm sure we'll have you on it again at some point. There's 1,000 different topics to talk with you. Um, Lots of stories that could be told. I think at some point we need to have like a bunch of like I don't even know, Ian, but like multiple, maybe like a combination of people at once. I feel like that could
A
make a
tell
fun.
all, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be a cool episode. So maybe I
Like
can do that at some
at the
point.
end of The Bachelor where they have all the people come back and reflect.
Mm,
You guys could do that.
yeah,
Right.
maybe at some point.
Bring back some all stars.
Yeah, yeah.
Fan favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can put out a poll and see what the people say.
Huh.
You guys should do like a compilation of like the like best moments of the podcast for your like year anniversary.
That should be pretty awesome. I'll do that at some point
It'll take
maybe.
a lot of effort, but it'd be worth it.
I'll do it at some point. Maybe this summer when I have time. I can do that. But yeah,
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to all those watching. Our viewerships skyrocketed. I think, Chris, what was it? 1,000%? I think these
A
last couple of
million,
weeks.
a million followers. I thought. Congrats.
it's actually around like 1.2 million right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I probably didn't check
I
it.
put a shout out to all the rugby guys I put on the podcast. You better be watching right now, and you better like and comment. I told you guys to like and comment. Make sure you like and comment. Um, yeah, keep spreading the word. Keep spreading the wealth. There's a lot of knowledge to be
Rugby's
gained
a cool
here.
sport.
Yeah, shout out Dom and his rugby adventures. But yeah,
He's still
he's still locked.
All right. Well, that concludes our show. Thank you very much for watching.